Everybody, and welcome back to Zenith. The weekly news continues. Blizzard has been in full force of the SOD updates. Now, this first set of updates that we're going to go through for SOD has caused some disruption, shall we say, across the SOD community and WoW Classic, where people have even been questioning whether Blizzard has lost the sight of Season of Discovery and WoW Classic and the vision and the reason why they brought it to a thing to start with. But there is also the other side of it where people are saying that this is actually bringing in more players into the game because of the controversy. Now, right at the end of this video, we are going to be going over something that has again upset a lot of players in Season of Discovery and WoW Classic. But stay tuned for that one, or if you don't really want to watch the rest of the video, skip to the end and you will see those updates as well. So the very first thing that we've got to go through, and this, in my opinion, has to be probably one of the most hot topics for Season of Discovery Phase 3 as of right now, because there is a lot of debate about this. Now, I personally sit on the fence with this one, because when Season of Discovery first got released, as we know, Phase 1, we had the first raid, which was cleared like within probably 3 or 4 days of it being released. Phase 2 was literally the same day as it was released. People were leveling and clearing the raid. Phase 3, that didn't quite happen. So in Phase 3, we got our new raid, Sunken Temple. Now, to get from 40 to 50, it doesn't take long at all. You can just go and do incursions. They seem to have not even nerfed incursions yet, so they want that to be a thing, I guess. And then you can go straight into Sunken Temple, the raid. Now, most people didn't even farm that much gear. They just jumped straight into it because we all knew that the raid in Season of Discovery, for the average SOD player, is going to be quite easy. However, they didn't do that with Sunken Temple. So Sunken Temple is 8 bosses long. The first 6 bosses aren't that bad. There is a few mechanics, there is a few things that you need to learn and you need to do, but they aren't, overall they're not too bad. There was pug groups doing it. I mean, Asmongold did it with a complete pug group and he got 6 out of 8 and it took him roughly a couple of hours to do. And I'm using Asmongold here because Asmongold is the type of person that just kind of likes to enjoy the game. He is a great entertainer to watch and he just likes to play the game for what it is. However, when you then get to the boss 7, which is Shade of Ericus, I'm not too sure how you say that name. The difficulty level kind of jumps. So every other boss is kind of like down here, and then you get to this boss post nerf, and like you're way up here. There was people from Echo doing it, and they were struggling to do it in a pug with everybody on Discord and everybody on voice, everybody talking to each other. You had people that were playing the game for ages trying to do it, and they still couldn't do it. That I actually think that there was only 1 or 2 official guilds that actually completed 8 out of 8 bosses post nerf, and it got so bad that Blizzard nerfed it from 4 million HP down to 1.5 million HP. That is a very significant nerf. Now, for those of you that don't know about this and don't understand why they've nerfed it so far, basically what was happening was when you fought Shade or Ericus, or however you pronounce that name, what you would have to do is the boss would split the room into half, so you could only stand at the face or the tail if you're a tank. You just never stood the tail, and then everybody else had to go around the room. The boss would then spawn poison on top of the ranged and melee groups, so those groups had to move in tandem, otherwise you filled up the whole room and you would just die. And then around about the 25 to 30% mark, the boss would just spawn acid pools everywhere. And I don't mean a little bit everywhere, it was everywhere, and they would spawn at your feet. So if you had people just running around the room, you would just run out of room and die, and you just would not be able to kill it. So it did require coordination. Now, that's not to say that your average player of SOD would not be able to do that eventually. However, what the community was saying, and this is the part that I do agree with, SOD and WoW Classic was brought out for the average casual player that just wants to log in, have a little bit of fun, play the game, maybe a weekend warrior, and log off, but feel achieved. This did not encapsulate that at all. This made it so that when you got to boss 7, you had to actually play the game, you had to make sure that you were doing your strategies right, you had to have raid leaders, you had to have coordination, you had to make sure that everybody was doing the right thing at the right time, and it just was not playable. Now, Blizzard had come in and massively nerfed the boss. So first of all, we had 2 health pool nerfs. One of them took it down to 4 million, the other one down to 1.45 million. They've also reduced, so the cast time of Acid Shot is now 2.5 seconds, was 2 seconds. The Raw is gone up by 5 seconds. The Corrosive Breath damage reduced by 40%, but the debuff now lasts 20 seconds, was only 12 seconds, so they kind of nerfed it but increased the duration of it. The Corrosive Breath now goes through line of sight. The Deep Slumber cast time was increased by 5 seconds. The poison damage was reduced by 50%, and the debuff was reduced by 15 seconds, but again, another 50%. The Tail Sweep was reduced by 33%. And one of the things that people didn't like, in my opinion, was the fact that if you had a shaman, so you would have to have been a horde group, the poison just would not be a thing because you can use the totem to get rid of the poison. Then your healers wouldn't run out of mana as much, and so on and so forth. And people just didn't quite agree with it. Now, I'm on the fence because I kind of liked the change in SOD. It kind of made a change of pace. It meant that the raid wasn't getting beaten within a couple of days. But also, on the other hand, I can see it from the casual player's point of view. It's going to take a while to get used to it. It's going to get a while to, learn mechanics, create a guild, get recruitment. So from that point of view, I understood it because you're bringing in some more players that may want to do that type of content, but don't really enjoy retail that much. But again, they did end up nerfing it, and I believe now a lot of people have killed it. There are still people trying to do it in pug groups, and it is killable-ish, but not too much. Keep in mind, this isn't the last boss. This was only the 7th boss, so not many people had actually ever seen the last boss at this point. But let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this, whether you think that this should be a thing, or whether you think that they did quite miss the mark. Now, the next thing we want to go through is a bunch of updates that they have done. So, as of yesterday, so this was recorded on April the 9th, they have made a bunch of changes. So, updated the levels of Fire Guard Destroyer and Blackrock Depths. So it basically made more sense for Phase 3. Phase 2, it was, you were able to do it, but now they've updated it, so you can still use that. Fix an issue where the Droid Trainer would vanish. Non-engineering and non-blacksmithing Nightmare Armor recipes no longer required a blacksmith hammer. That's quite a nice quality of life change. And the materials were changed for this one. They did fix some nerfs. So the Dark Moon card no longer triggers on every instant cast spell, which again was quite a nice one. That was quite OP in my opinion, especially for PvP. The flash specific for Sunken Temple now persists through death. Again, that was a really nice quality of life change. You were going through a lot of them, that is for sure. This one has caused a lot of controversy. So if you don't know already, when you get exalted with a certain faction, you get a bind on account helm. And it used to be leather. It is now mail. A lot of people do not agree with this because unless you're playing a hunter or a shaman, this is pretty much useless to you. Unless you wanted to play a mail helm with like a warrior or a paladin, there's not many classes that can use it. With it being leather, you had a lot more classes that could potentially use it. So you had rogue, you had druid, you had potentially still a hunter or a shaman. But yeah, a lot of people aren't happy with that change, but they've done it nonetheless. The shoulder pads from Phase 3, they've reduced so it's now has spell hit on it instead of spirit, and now has spell power proc, was haste. So again, this is going to be more of a cast item instead of a melee item. And Breath of the Beast is now unique. You cannot get more than one at a time. Druid, the free Wrath cast from Fury, no longer consumes your clear casting. And Rumsey Rum, no longer 100% procs Omen of Clarity. Mage, they've just made like a bunch of nice changes. So the Balefire Bolt now procs and consumes clear casting. Balefire Bolt now correctly benefits from the Spell Power rune. Displacement no longer requires a target. Balefire Bolt now works with Ignite. Conjure Water rank 6 now conjures 20 waters. Molten Armor now falls off when a rune is swapped out. That again, like, that was just getting abused, so that's quite nice that they've done that. Balefire Bolt now benefits from consumption of Arcane Blast Axe. Balefire Bolt now benefits from and spends the charge of Combustion. Priest Void Zone damage no longer resets the casting time of your wand. Void Zone now locks the priest out of Shadow School when kicked, and Void Zone visually changes to be less disruptive. Nice. Fixed a bug on the Honor Among Thieves cast. Honor Among Thieves should no longer consider whether the rogue or their allies are flagged for PvP. Carnage will no longer fall off whilst rank 4 is active. Shaman just never gets love, I swear, in Season of Discovery. We always seem to get like 1 or 2 updates, and that is pretty much it. And the same happened again in Phase 3. Tidal Wave will now always apply its increase to Healing Wave cast spell, even if the Healing Wave was spell queued. Shield Slam now correctly has 200% increased threat, and Devastation correctly deals 150% damage per second, was 100%. Warlock had a few changes. Sunken Temple fixed an issue where the Festering would despawn. Avatar of Hakar, as we just discussed, the health was low by 35%. They had also updated some more, and then the Nightmare Incursions returning the Unstable Wisp into the Nightmare Incursion to be a bit less punishing for players to deal with. Quest objectives for Nightmare Incursions now have multiple simultaneous spawn locations, reduces the experience awarded by Nightmare Incursions quests, and increases reputation granted by level 50 quests. So, they have done a slight nerf. Reduce the experience awarded by Nightmare Incursion quests. We don't know by how much. We don't know how impactful this is going to be. However, I still am pretty sure Incursions is going to be the fastest way to level. You need the reputation anyway. Yes, you get more reputation at level 50. However, if you could do it from 40 to 50 and then get your reputation by the time you're level 50, why not? You kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It kind of makes sense, in my opinion. Now, this is just a little kind of ad, if you like. Wowhead have been really good, and they have updated their drop in Sunken Temple. So if you need to know what drops where, go ahead to Wowhead. They now tell you what to get. Now, to probably the most disruptive thing that Blizzard has announced for many years. So Blizzard have decided to announce that they are currently restricting new accounts playing Season of Discovery, similar to the purchase of WoW tokens. So in retail, if you purchase a WoW token on a new account, you aren't able to trade players, you aren't able to get mail, and you aren't able to use the auction house for the first 30 days. Now, that wasn't too disruptive to retail because, in reality, if you purchase a WoW token to get game time for the first 30 days, it wasn't too bad to to make 30 days go past, because you could still do dungeons, you could still play the game, you could still do a lot of content. But Season of Discovery, they have done the same thing to it. So you can't, so if you're a brand new Season of Discovery account, you will not be allowed to trade, use the mail, or use of the auction house for the first 30 days. Now, in my opinion, that is a huge change. Once the period of 30 days has ended, the restriction will be lifted. If you're still seeing restrictions after that, however, it could take over 12 hours for that change to make. Now, for my opinion, or in my opinion, this change for Season of Discovery is quite a big change. To get from level 1 to max level in Season of Discovery, it shouldn't take you that long. I did, 6 episodes, and I'm already level 15, not even that, 4 episodes of like 20-minute gameplay each, and we're all level 15, and we're just about to start spamming dungeons. And once you start spamming dungeons, it doesn't take too long to get to level 50. If you can't do anything with the mail, with use of the auction house, and you cannot trade for the first 30 days, you are going to be very restricted in the content that you could do for that 30-day period. And in my opinion, that shouldn't be a thing. I believe that they should do what they used to do, which was when you created a new account, we all did it, you created a new account, you purchased the full WoW, it basically put you on like a starter edition, so like a free-to-play game, for the first 24 to 48 hours, where you could only get to like level 20, and you could just play around in Gulcher or wherever you wanted to be for that first 24 to 48 hours. After that, you unlocked the entire game and you could do whatever the hell you wanted. This, in my opinion, seems to be a huge downplay for the community, because a lot of people are returning to the game just to play SOD, and they may go onto their retail account, or they may have a friend, for example, that plays retail, and they'll just send some gold over just so they can get the game time to go and play SOD together. And if they then can't trade using the auction house or mail for the first 30 days, that is insane, in my opinion. I don't think that they should have done this, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. They have also said or confirmed that this is also going to apply to Classic Era accounts as well. But I do think that they should revisit this at some point, because this kind of seems like a dampening way. I understand why they're doing it in a way, because if you've got like gold sellers, for example, they could just open 10 to 15 accounts. I mean, I had it yesterday. There were just people selling mage portals for like 6 gold per portal, and then they're selling like 100, 200, 300 gold, or like 1,000, 5,000 gold for a decent amount of money on Season of Discovery. So I guess this is a way of cracking down on them having multiple accounts. I get that, but they're just going to wait for 30 days and then start doing it on that account anyway, so it just delays them by 30 days, and they've still already got one account generating that amount of money. So in my opinion, I don't really think this changes much, but they should revisit it, not to be a full 30 days, maybe just a 48-hour ban where you could only get to like level 10 or 20 on Season of Discovery and just play around a bit, and then you can unlock the full game. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of this one, and whether you think that they should have done this, or whether you think that they should have not done this one. I'm quite intrigued, but I'll leave you with that, guys. Make sure to smash that subscribe button as always, and I'll catch you all in the next one.